Right then, welcome back. If you've seen 5 things, you've seen the review. I did say I was going to be doing a little bit of a look into how it went down on a player-by-player basis in the player ratings. So in case you've not seen any of those and you're just going, oh, I just clicked on this video. What happened, Steve? Well, United lost to West Ham 2-1, and it was kind of shaped by horrendously missed opportunities by United, a couple of defensive lapses, especially when playing out, an absolute joke of a controversial VAR penalty decision. And despite dominating for massive portions of the game, particularly in the first half, not so much in the second half, United failed to convert the chances and find ourselves 14th in a table. Tactical adjustments were made at half-time by West Ham, and they came out, exposed United defensive vulnerabilities, and made us pay with some clinical finishing. And now let's get into each individual player and where we're at with them. So we start with Onana, as we always do, and it's a 6 out of 10 for Onana, right? Because, again, solid for most of the match. Did make a couple of important saves, including a late 1v1 block that kept us in it, in a way. His distribution, again, not good enough. Sometimes inviting pressure with some of the short passes, and the long passes were just awful, actually. Command of the box, again, was decent. A little bit hesitant a couple of situations, but especially on the set plays. But he showed there's room for improvement in those areas. The crucial moments left him exposed rather than him leaving us exposed. But he did his part when called upon. Dalot's getting a 4 out of 10 because his performance was a mixed bag. And defensively, he was okay. He won some duels. He made some interceptions. He did okay to break down West Ham's build-up play. But the offensive contribution is where things fell apart. He missed probably the biggest chance of the season, sending it over from close range. And a moment that epitomised United's season, actually. His crossing was poor, 2 out of 7. And his overlaps lacked the necessity, timing, precision, quality to create any sort of meaningful chances. The offensive shortcomings outweighed anything he did defensively, and it was subpar from Dalot, leaving a lot of people quite frustrated with him. Mazraoui played how Mazraoui played. It's a 6 out of 10 for him. There was tenacity and intelligence in what he does defensively. He had a couple of key tackles, a couple of key clearances. He was effective in shutting down Bowen in his attempt to exploit the flank. He made 7 successful tackles. However, the offensive support was limited and he struggled to connect with Garnacho properly. Lacked a little bit of sharpness needed when he did eventually get into the final third. The injury in the second half obviously put the end to his game. And United lost that defensive reliability at quite a crucial moment. We're better when he's on the pitch. So 6 out of 10. De Ligt. I'm giving him a 5. His physical presence and his positioning were crucial in the first half. He made vital interceptions, big clearances, massive block that prevented a clear chance for West Ham. But you do have to mark him down for the penalty, regardless of the fact I don't think it was a penalty, and I think Danny Ings has bought it. It's still him that's done it. You know, he maybe could have just used his body rather than his foot, and it might have been different. And he did actually seem to make contact with the ball before he touched it. It was fucking... I'm not even getting into it because it was a piss take. It was deemed careless somehow by VAR. Sorry, by Michael Oliver. And despite the controversy, he probably could have done a little bit more to avoid such a risky tackle, knowing the situation in the game. He was good apart from that in the air. Won 4 out of 6 aerial duels, but the penalty incident knocks him down to a 5 out of 10. I can't give him any more than that because of the impact of that. Lisandro Martinez, probably one of our better players. Combative. He won key duels. He made good interceptions, and he really slowed down West Ham's attacks. I love the aggression, the anticipation when defending, especially in the first half. He covered where De Ligt likes to go in hard. And he's passing out the back again, reliable, 90% pass accuracy, which helped us build out from the back under pressure. As the game progressed, as West Ham kind of grew more aggressive, he did occasionally get caught out of position. He was having to cover large spaces, particularly once we'd gone behind, which stretched his effectiveness, I think it'd be fair to say. But the effort, the commitment, the leadership was noticeable, and I think he was certainly one of our better players. Casemiro. So as I mentioned in 5 things, probably man of the match, but still only a 7, I think. Demonstrated some good defensive solidity, some really timely interceptions and tackles, and I was surprised when the team news came out. There was a few raised eyebrows where I was, and people were going, not sure this is the midfield you want to play against West Ham, but it was fine. His passing was good, 86%. He had a couple of crucial switches. He created some chances. He opened up space for the wingers. He played the ball forward nice and often. He did slow down towards the end of the match, which obviously impacts his mobility. He got a very, very crucial goal. But, you know, it was a real solid performance from Casemiro. So 7 out of 10 and probably our man of the match. Eriksen. He struggled to make an impact in the game that probably was more about physicality and pace, which are 2 areas that, yeah, he ain't got the ticket for those. Passing accuracy was okay. It was low for him. He did attempt to dictate play from deep, but he was bypassed sometimes during West Ham's quick transitions. That lack of defensive presence required more out of Casemiro, who had to cover additional ground. And offensively, didn't really deliver from set pieces. There wasn't any key passes. The inability for him to create chances in a game that United created a lot of chances, weirdly, his individual performance lacked that creativity. So the substitution for Xerxes was probably an attempt to add a little bit more presence, dynamism, and even creativity, but it did come too late. I mean, it was the right time. I was literally watching the game, and as soon as we'd gone behind, I was like, I think you got to play a card now, and I think Xerxes for Eriksen is the card, and you know, credit to Nagy, did play that card at that time. Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno did create chances. There was a lot of key passes from him. Him and Casemiro linking up pretty well with the forwards. His finishing, it was shit, let's be honest. His shots were off target. Decision making in the final third, not good enough. This is why it's a 6 out of 10. He missed a clear chance again to put United ahead from a prime position. He lost possession 21 times, which we know he's about risk-taking and creating chances, but sometimes that's frustrating. Despite that, he was still the creative engine in United. There was accurate long balls. There was accurate crosses. He was trying to set goals and teammates up, but they were failing to convert. Like, what more can we ask from him? Garnacho. 5 out of 10 for Garnacho. The pace and movement are good. He is a bright spark with those things, but again, the decision-making lets him down. He missed big opportunities, including hitting the woodwork, where he should have done better. The inability to deliver a final ball after beating a man repeatedly is a pattern. He had 6 failed crosses. The defensive contribution is minimal. Maybe that's by orders because you're looking for an outlet, and he's probably that outlet. He did make an error which led to West Ham's first goal. As I said in the review, I'm not blaming him entirely for that. The fact is he did make the error. He was the one that lost the ball, which led to the goal, but he's lost the ball 40 yards from goal. United still had the opportunity in that moment to deal with what happened, and we didn't. That tipped the momentum. The potential is evident with him, but that game again exposed the need for composure, awareness, and decision-making improvements in him. So 5 out of 10. Rashford, there was no impact. It's a 4 out of 10. Failed to make any impact whatsoever. Sometimes the touches were heavy. He didn't beat his defender. He didn't make any incisive runs. He didn't have a single shot. He only had 1 successful dribble. He wasn't creating for people. The output was minimal. He seemed completely out of sync with the rest of the team. Couldn't find space. Couldn't find support for Hojlund in the centre. The lack of off-the-ball movement made it easy for West Ham to just deal with him. It was a poor performance, and that's it. It was a poor performance. 4 out of 10. Hojlund. Now, Hojlund did work hard. He was making runs in the channels. He was pushing the West Ham defence quite hard. The service was limited, and when the opportunities didn't arise, he wasn't clinical. He had 2 shots on target. He forced the saves. He also missed a very big clear-cut chance, which might have shifted the momentum at the time. But despite that, the hold-up play, the physical presence, the space for others, it was decent. He can be a focal point for United's attack. You got to just feed him. You got to constantly put the ball into areas where he can get onto him. The lack of goal output from him is absolutely a concern, and I think that's fair. he is the man tasked with being Manchester United's number 9. Manchester United can't score goals. We're going to look at you. Not entirely his fault because some of the creativity wasn't there, but he's got to do better with the chances he gets. Diallo, 6 out of 10. Bit of energy and directness when he came on. Struggled to find any sort of final product. Was picking the ball up in nice areas. He was pressing well. Happy days. Xerxes came on late. Bit of physical presence. Limited impact in terms of possession. Lindelof came on too late for me to give him a real score. The gaffer. I don't think he did much wrong in this. He set the team up to dominate possession, to create chances, which he did, particularly in the first half. The team's lack of finishing contributes to that issue. His substitutions didn't really... I thought Xerxes for Eriksen was the right decision, but it didn't do anything. Didn't have any sort of impact with it. Lopetegui outplayed him at half-time. You know, we were in the ascendancy. We didn't take our chances. Lopetegui changed it. We didn't react well enough to that. The controversy around the penalty is unfortunate, but United's inability to capitalise on that dominance is becoming a pattern. And I do think it'll be him that ultimately loses his job because of this. 6 out of 10, I thought, for the gaffer. But as always, I want to hear your thoughts. Whether you agree, whether you disagree, or whether you have your own ratings, then get it in the mixer. It was interesting reading some of the comments last week where I think 6 is average. Pretty average, you know. And some people think 6 is above average. Well, there you go. Cheers for tuning in as always. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and get your thoughts and comments in below. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.